Welcome to today's webinar session. My name is Aisha Suleiman. I'm a communications associate at Wandieville. To begin this program, on behalf of Wandieville, I would like to welcome our speakers and guests to the session. Wandieville is a dynamic and innovative company within the agricultural and nutrition sector, committed to transforming the food system through in-depth project implementation, market development, impactful advocacy efforts, policy engagement, and strategic communication. We consistently deliver exceptional services to diverse clients. Our mission is to illuminate Africa's agriculture and nutrition. We are very excited to have you here today as we'll be discussing the topic from the ground up, inspiring youth career in the seed production and research. This is an avenue to introduce youth to the opportunities available in this sector and also empower young individuals with knowledge on career opportunities in the seed production and research industry. To begin the program, I'm pleased to invite Olive Chijoke, journalist at Wandieville, to take us through the panel session.
Thank you very much, Aisha. As mentioned earlier in today's webinar, our discussion will be on inspiring youth careers in seed production and research. Joining us are three distinguished speakers. So let's get right into it. I would like to begin this discussion by introducing our first speaker, Mr. Charles Onwuka, Senior Technical Assistant to the Director General, National Agricultural Seed Council. Mr. Charles is a Senior Advisor at the Nigerian Plant Variety Protection Office and is Senior Technical Assistant to the Director General of the National Agricultural Seed Council. He holds a bachelor's degree in Agricultural Economics and Extension from Enugu State University of Science and Technology, as well as a postgraduate degree in Agriculture and International Rural Development Economics from Kyoto University, Japan. Mr. Charles is recognized as an expert in impact assessment, seed system, and intellectual property related to plant variety and protection. He has played significant roles in shaping agricultural policies and programs at national, regional, and continental levels, including the development of strategic plans, policy documents, and initiatives such as National Rice Development Strategy and the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Mr. Charles, we are pleased to have you here.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm not sure how much time we have for this seminar. I think the introduction you did, it's okay for now. So I think we can go ahead with that. I'm happy to be here to share insights on the topic. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Let's begin. Given your expertise in seed system development, how do you believe that youth can contribute to innovation and sustainability in seed production?
Okay, thank you for the question. For me, I think the youth, as we know today, they bring in a lot of fresh perspective, especially in the areas of IT. And then there are lots of valuable skills which they possess that can be used in developing the seed system as we have today. Because looking at the seed system and looking at some of the challenges we have, I think we could tap from lots of the innovative ideas of the youth. We have in the area of data collection, data processing, and data management. There are lots of IT tools that can be used to do that. in the meeting where I'm currently attending, one of the big issues we've identified is in the area of data collection, data analysis, and data management. And this is not just a problem in Nigeria, but a problem across the West African sub-region. My colleague who just came back from Gambia has the same stories. They went to implement the M&E strategies for the Gambian seed industry. And it's a whole lot of issues with data. So I think the youths can look at this area, and then they can also design tools that can aid in data collection, that can also aid data automation, data analysis, and also develop seed management applications. And also, we also have the area of utilizing digital tools, just like I already mentioned. Young people can create online platforms for seed exchange, information sharing, and connecting farmers with researchers, drones for field mapping, and also monitoring seed health. Now, these are some areas that young people can also come in. And then when we look at the entrepreneurship sides, young people can also come in the area of seed production. They can start seed businesses, establish seed companies focused on developing and distributing locally adapted open pollinated seeds. Now, this promotes seed sovereignty and reduces some of the reliance on large foreign corporations in Nigeria here. And also issues of advocacy for policy change. Young people can also play a very vital role because as we know now, the online space is a very big space and young people are known to play very well in this field. So I feel they can utilize their power in the online space to also make changes because you can see now a lot of the things happening in the online space are coming to reality, are being investigated. So once a report is made online, the youth advance those arguments and then they come online by ways of investigation, by ways of closure and all that. So I feel these areas are also areas they can come in very strong. Yeah. Thank you.
That's great. So youth can contribute in using IT tools, now the world is going digital. Tech skills are coming up and they're interested in young people because young people mostly have been learning this and been putting into practice data collection, entrepreneurship, and that's great. Next question. As an advocate of youth empowerment in agriculture, how will you encourage more young people to consider careers in seed production? And what opportunities exist for them to gain practical experience and training in this field?
Okay, yeah. So I think just like I already mentioned, some of the areas where there are gaps, because for you to look at opportunity, you need to look at a lot of people will see problems, but those who are with problem challenges are usually identified as from the gap. Yeah, but I think but beyond that, we need to do more to production, but also in agriculture generally. Because if you notice, there is a huge decline in terms of youth participation, especially when it comes to when it comes to production and research. Yeah, so we need to go back to our curriculum. We need to redesign this curriculum so that the youths can begin to see some of these challenges and begin to look at these things in their curriculum and see how they can begin to use what they have learned to solve world issues. So I think this is one way we can also encourage. And then we need to have lots of boot camps, lots of fairs, lots of workshops, because one thing is also to create awareness. We need to let them know that this is also a way of living and they can do it because a lot of people know, sometimes they know that these areas exist, but they don't know how they can engage. They don't know how they can come in. But when we start creating this awareness, even using the both traditional and new media, and then we organize workshops, we organize boot camps, we conduct all manner of seminars, mentorship programs, and so they can see this experience in practical terms. So I think these are some of the ways we can encourage the youth to begin to come into agriculture and particularly the seed space as well.
Oh, that's great. So youth, we need to see the gap and research and look into how to close that gap. I also encourage that people that have the knowledge and expertise in seed production should organize boot camps, fairs, workshop to train young people that are interested. Yes, that's a very good one.
I think even also some of the career fairs in schools should also be tailored towards solving some of the issues using agriculture. Because most times I tell people, if a lot of people today have proper guidance and proper mentorship on some of the courses they read today in universities, a lot of them won't go into them. Because a lot of persons who are into the agri space today, if you ask them how they got into that space, a lot of them will tell you that they don't know how they found themselves. But on the long run, they are really enjoying it. They are really enjoying what they are doing. Yes. So I think it's we need to also add mentorship and career talks in schools. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, what you said now just relates very much to me. I studied agriculture, and truly, I didn't want to study agriculture, but somehow I was pushed to that department. I studied crop science and crop production, and I feel like the first year I didn't really. It was doing along the line that I started enjoying the course. And don't worry, I'll ask a question in that line. Okay, moving forward. So, as someone that is deeply involved in seed production and research, what will you advise someone, a young individual that is just coming up, aspiring to follow a similar path? Where should they start from? What are the steps? What can they do to follow that career path?
Okay, so I think if you look at the question from question one, where we talked about we need to identify some of the gaps, we need to identify the challenges, and then we need to see how we can turn those challenges into opportunities. Yeah, because if you look at the population today, the population is increasing astronomically, and we've been told for us to sustain the consumption level you get, and so that becomes an opportunity. How do we get into that space? How do we produce more food? So a lot of people who are new in the agri space, a lot of them, I tell them, see, that anything worth doing, it's worth doing well. I tell them you have to persevere. The agri sector is not one sector, you just jump in and you begin to benefit. And most of the youth we have today, with apologies to them, a lot of them want to just make quick money. And the agricultural sector, it's one sector, yes, you can make some money, but then there's also a space of reinvesting whatever it is you have made. So there's no that space of making quick money and just move away. It's practically not there. There need to be reinvestment. They need to be perseverance. They need to be patient as well.
Okay, one of the take homes that I got from what you said is that youth should have a perseverance spirit. They should not think that, okay, with agri you can make quick money, but it can bring money in the long run. And okay, yes, I also ask that, can you just mention, okay, if I want to start this journey, where can I start from?
I think for someone who wants to start is to look at look at some of the chains in the seed system. You can also have opportunities in introducing things like maybe gene editing. There are tools for gene editing, identifying variety release and registration. You have breeder seed production, foundation seed production. So I think there are a lot of areas they can come in. But if you look at the value and beyond some of the opportunities I've mentioned in my question one and question two, maybe the aspect of production, right? Now they can start, because I know some of them are maybe starting small and they may not have the opportunity to just register a seed company and begin to produce seeds immediately. But if they have lands, they can start as outgrower to mentorship program. You can approach a company that is into production and say, okay, I have XYZ hectares of land. And maybe you look at what crops those companies are producing, and then you could take some mentorship from them and see how you can partner with that company in producing either maize for them as an outgrower, and then they can offtake. Of course, the company will also support you with inputs, They will support you with extension programs and support you with all you need to succeed. Because if the seed goes bad, it also impugn on the credibility of that particular company. So the company will give you, it's just like a holding hand. The company will hold you and support you to produce and produce right. So I think that first step is to look at, because I know that's like the easiest part of it. There's also the aspect of quality assurance, but that's a bit more complicated. You need some additional trainings. But the aspect of seed production and starting as an outgrower for a company who is already into production, it's one good way to start. Yes.
Okay, what I took from there is that youths that want to go into seed production should investigate and find out, okay, some companies are doing what they want to do. Maybe get mentorship, get guidance on how they can work on something. Thank you very much, Mr. Charles, for that impactful section. So to build on our conversation, I would like to introduce our second speaker, Dr. Hadiza Ayaro, Business Development Manager, East West Seed. Thank you very much, Mr. Charles. So our second speaker, Dr. Hadiza Ayaro, is a highly accomplished professional with extensive experience in business, rural, and value chain development within the agricultural sector. She holds a Bachelor of Agriculture from Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. She also has 2 master's degrees, one in development studies and from Nigerian Defense Academy, Kaduna, and the other in agronomy with first-class honors from Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. Dr. Hadiza brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise to her role as the Business Development Manager. She has professional experience in rural development, value chain development, and agribusiness cluster promotion. She has been actively involved in setting up vegetable farms for sustainable farming practices, utilization of improved seed, and technologies such as mulching, the use of nets, pheromones, drip irrigation installation across Nigeria. Through her efforts, thousands of farmers have been trained, empowering them to adopt modern agricultural practices and improve their livelihood. Thank you, Dr. Hadiza. We are so pleased to have you here.
Good morning, all.
Good morning. Yes, ma'am. With your background in analyzing economic performance of value chains and agribusiness clusters, what are some emerging trends and opportunities you see for youth, for young people in the seed production and research sector, not just in Nigeria, but globally?
Okay, thank you for that question on opportunities that abound in seed production. To start with, seed production sector contributes a long way to every economy, especially economy that is looking at food security, because this sector provides employment for youth. It also helps to generate income. And then to go into seed production, it requires diverse ranges of skills, starting from research and development to the production of the seeds, to the distribution of the seeds. And it provides a wide range of opportunities for youths and entrepreneurs to tap into. A nation that is ready to address issues around food security and nutrition security takes very seriously seed production, because the availability of high quality seeds in a country also helps to guarantee the citizens of that country to be able to feed themselves very well. In some cases, if you look at advanced countries, they don't just only produce, but it has become a source of revenue where the country has to export maybe vegetable, rice, or maize, or millet. Aside that, if you look at it, beyond just maybe the grains that we see that people consume, seed in itself is yet another form of business where if you go into seed production, you can actually generate revenue both internally and externally. So I think for me, I think the opportunity lies abound. This is a sector which I feel the potential is yet to be tapped, and it is a new sector that youths can look into, entrepreneurs can look into. If you look at developing countries and maybe developed countries, the seed sector are very much a par, where you can see technology playing a great role in seed production, and not just in the space of maybe engineering or aerospace or management and other things like that. So for me, I think Nigeria, if we're really looking forward to have a developed economy, the sector is very much undeveloped, and this is a new sector that I think youth can tap into. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Ma. For any country to experience food security, we must have knowledge on seed production, because without seed, we can't grow crops, high quality seeds. In fact, I believe that part of the things that is making some of the leading countries excel is because they have improved varieties, resistant varieties, and so much more. So on to our next question. I want to ask that from your experience in collaborating with various projects and organizations, how can public-private partnership and mentorship programs play a role in nurturing the next generation of seed producers and researchers?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. The concept of partnership and mentorship, for me, I think it goes a long way to improve the current state of things in the country. In terms of the technology used, if one has the opportunity to interact with developed countries or has traveled out to see how the seed technology is being taken seriously, because we know as a rule of the thumb, population is increasing, meaning there are many more mouths to feed. And of course, if that is an established fact, it means there is also need to increase food production, because we will never stop eating. So partnership is one key area that I think that can be strengthened. It is an area where I think the mentorship comes in, where there is no need to reinvent the wheel. If we already have countries who has a clear roadmap on how the seed sector has developed, we can actually borrow a leaf. It's a matter of copying and pasting. And of course, if you're pasting, if there's anything that doesn't really fit into what you want, you can do some kind of modification and adoption. So partnership counts, because partnership is everything. Where people work in their silos, you tend not to achieve your set goals or objectives, because a tree does not make a forest. Until we form a critical mass with common interests and we work towards one direction, we wouldn't be able to win the battle of food insecurity and also nutrition insecurity. So I think mentorship can start in little ways. We're talking about youths these days, and I very much like what the first speaker spoke about, that is Charles, where most people that find themselves in the agricultural sector was not their dream, was not their wish. It was more or less like an incidental thing that happened because they find themselves studying agric. But then again, after studying the agric, what becomes of you? Are you really practicing? That's a question to answer.
Yeah.
And you discover when you look at the agricultural sectors, we have a lot of people that never studied agriculture, most especially engineers. You see they study engineering, but later in life, what do they find themselves doing? They actually are doing agriculture. So,
yeah.
Yes, so just like Charles mentioned, in primary school, secondary school, even in tertiary institution, there needs to be some kind of advocacy, some kind of enlightenment. Sometimes we talk about guidance and counseling, Averagely, if you walk into a primary school in a class, when you ask, what do you want to become? It's always, I want to become a doctor, because there is a mindset, there is a picture in the minds of these kids that they feel the most respected people in the society are doctors.
Society.
Why don't I want to become a doctor? And then when you talk about agriculture, it's more like, this is a poor man somewhere in a village who is struggling to make a living. So why would I want to become a farmer? But then again, when you hear some other stories, you discover that there is prospect in agriculture. We need to look at agriculture as one of that profession that has come to stay. And of course, you should know whether you're a doctor, an engineer, you're a pilot, you're a nurse, or whatever you are, everybody eats. So I think for me, we need to like portray farmers as one of the richest people in the society. We need to project farmers as one of the most important profession, which if we don't hold on to, I think our life will go extinct. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much. I agree with you totally. I think the turning point for me when I started studying agriculture was when I encountered a lecturer very passionate about agriculture. It was different from the norm. I think that was when I was in 200 or 300 level. He taught us one course. And I was his mentorship, he just piqued interest in me. And his mentorship made me to want to go into agriculture, because I know many of my colleagues now that study agriculture with me, they are not doing anything related to it. While some from his counsel, from his mentorship, they picked it up. Most of them are making good money in agriculture. And I feel like if we can make more, make mentorship programs available and visible for the young people, they will dive into this opportunity, this career path. Thank you very, very much, Ma. As someone that is deeply involved in rural and value chain development, what advice do you give to young individuals interested in pursuing career in seed production and research?
Okay, thank you for that question. I think one of the most important things is to look at learning, right? If we really want to get where we are, we should be very much open to learning. And of course, adoption of new technologies can also go a long way. And aside from that, there needs to be a lot of investment. If there is no investment in equipment, in facility, in as much as you really love to go into seed production, or you have a passion to practice the agriculture, once your equipment are obsolete, then there is little or nothing you can do much about that. And of course, we have to look at catching up with current trends. We shouldn't be outdated, meaning if the world is moving to the right, then you have to key in to move to the right. For example, when we talk about hybrids and open pollinated varieties, these are two different things, right? In terms of yield, in terms of disease resistance, in terms of a lot of things. But you still will find people in the society, even agriculturists themselves or enlightened people, that will tell you, why are you promoting hybrid? Why are you not promoting open pollinated varieties for the farmers to use, harvest, and use? But then, of course, time gone can never be regained. So usually I tell them, if your yield this year was supposed to be 100 tons per hectare, simply because you use an open pollinated variety that gave you maybe 10 or 20 tons per hectare, you are doing yourself no good, because you've lost close to what, 80 to 90 tons per hectare that you will have made more money. So I think that is really critical. Talking about current trends, you interact with advanced technologies, though I know we do a lot, but not in every crop. Things like tissue culture, the use of modern technology or equipment, even in the production, that is yet another one. The need to conserve the resources we have, like the use of drip for watering, where you have scarcity of rain, because resources in themselves are scarce. So we need to like move with trend. Then They need to be patient, like Charles had mentioned. Our youths are not patient. Most people are not patient, and they're just looking at an investment that can just double within a twinkle of an eye. They want quick money. Agriculture is not really like that, right? You need patience to be able to achieve what you're doing. I give you an example of the founder of East West Aid. Sometimes ago, when he established the company, it took him 5 years for him to even make the first profit. He invested for a period of 5 years with no profit. It was more of giving and giving and giving, doing a lot of researches, trying and failing. And after 5 years, did he come up with one hybrid in bitter gourd? And then, of course, the patience he had over the period of years had led him to win the Nobel Food Prize of 2019. So we can see, don't despise humble beginning, start gradually, and then, of course, you grow big. Because one, we tend to talk of opportunities upon opportunities. It looks as if it's a roller coaster. You can actually just enjoy the ride. But of course, you should also remember that there are risk factors, which most of the times people don't talk about them. So it's not like when you start today, boom, you blow it and then you become a billionaire. No, it takes time. So I think for the young ones, they really need to know how to mitigate those risks in order to make a headway. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much, ma. Moving on to our next speaker, our final speaker, Dr. Afolabi Samson. He's the Director of Research and Production, Premier Seed Nigeria. Dr. Afolabi holds a bachelor's degree in botany. He has 2 master's degrees, one in pharmacy and drug development, and the other in plant breeding. He also holds a PhD in plant breeding from Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. His research emphasis has been on breeding for high potentials of resilient crop varieties, enhanced nutritional qualities, and resistance to mycotoxin contamination in maize and other crops. His research effort has led to the official registration, release, and commercialization of some maize hybrid varieties currently adopted by Nigerian farmers. He is a member of several scientific and professional bodies and holds claims to several journal publications and conference papers. Dr. Afolabi joined the service of Premier Seed Nigeria Limited in 2009 as a research officer and grew all the way to become the head of research and product development unit, and then the director of research and production. This is a position he occupies to date. Thank you very much, Dr. Afolabi Samson, for joining us. We're happy to have you here.
Thank you very much, and I'm happy to be here to talk to the youths.
Yes, sir. So what are some of the key competencies young professionals to cultivate to succeed in the field of seed research? And how can they get experience and have access to training opportunities?
All right, thank you very much for that question. It's a very broad question, but that I guess the first 2 speakers have made justice to, but I will still just probably add a few. Aside the fact that Charles and Dr. Adiza had actually mentioned that you need to be resilient. Of course, they need to make decisions. They need to be ready to take risks, and of course, they need to make up their mind, right? And to be perseverant and to persevere through whatever challenges that may face them in achieving their goals. I would just want to quickly add here that the very first thing that you need to do is to sit down and look within yourself and look at your potentials and see what you're actually interested in. What do you have enthusiasm for? What do you want to do? And if agriculture it's what you want to do, then the second thing you need to do is to probably identify for yourself what area of the agri space you want to major in. We have the production aspect, which is still business. We have the core business aspect of it, which of course has to do with marketing. We have the market linkage aspect of it. We have technological space. So you really need to look at your potentials. What do you possess as a person? And where do you think you can do well? Because the agri space is actually very wide. So it depends on the potential of that youth. You need to look at yourself. Where do you think or feel that you want to do well? And again, of course, you have to also look at your starting that actually supports young staff well in that field. So you want to look at the technology space, it's there for you. If you are very good on the, on some of those digital platforms, either for marketing, for production, for linkage, for advertisement, to awareness creation, communications, a lot of that you can, the youth can take on that. But first, again, second, you need to get a degree in that particular field. If it's a technological space, like take, for example, even the universities, we have agri-science, but eventually it is scaled down to either agricultural economics, agronomy, crop science, or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe protection, crop protection, stuff like that. So
Okay.
you need to really identify that space where your potential can speak for you. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much. The opportunities in agriculture and seed research are limitless. And
Sure.
we need to look into areas where we can get knowledge and experience. So as we look to inspire and empower the next generation of youth in seed production and research, how can industry stakeholders, educational institutions, and government agencies collaborate to create opportunities to support the pathway for young people to pursue careers in seed research?
All right, thank you very much for that question. A very good one, still a very broad one. Let me quickly just expatiate on 2 points that the two speakers have actually mentioned, and that is, and before then, let me register here that let us know that Nigeria's seed demand has been estimated to be over 350,000 metric tons by the National Agricultural Seed Council. And our production as at date is less than a quarter of that national demand. That tells you that there is great opportunities for doing business in seed production. Secondly, climate change and nutrition gap is a major challenge to food security, even in the country, and not just in the country alone, even in the West African region, right? That is also a great opportunity for any youth that want to get involved in either seed research or seed production. Seed production to bridge the gap that I've just mentioned. Over 300,000 metric tons demand, and we are producing currently just about a quarter of that. There is a huge gap that needs to be closed. Tells you that there is opportunity for any youth that want to go into seed production. It's actually wide and huge. And the government, even private stakeholders can come in. And we have been doing that. Premier Seed Nigeria Limited, we have a particular program right on the company where we support youths that are actually very much interested in agriculture. When we look at the production aspect of it, we register them as outgrowers. We provide them with input financing. We provide them with capacity building in terms of the technicalities that is required for seed production. We also provide them with technical advices and technical backstop, visit to their farms, during the production season. And at the end of production, we also get to buy their produce at premium prices, that are not less than 20% above the prevailing market price at the time we are buying back from them. So we create business on them. We turn them to entrepreneurs. And some of these youths, we even advise them to go into farmer groups, because sometimes it may not actually be very, very easy for an individual to take on this responsibility. But they could put themselves into groups and own farms, or probably even lease or rent farms, and then use for production. And we have seen groups of youth grow, from having to lease, small area of land to even acquiring a larger area of land after 2-3 years of operation with us. And those are the kind of thing that private sectors can also do to encourage them. The government can also go into that. We know even right from the institutions we have had, we are in collaboration with several institutions in the country, about 4 universities. They send in their students for industrial training, and internship. Some of them stay 3 months, 6 months, for us to take them through the rudiments of seed production. And now we also turn that into business. It's more or less like entrepreneurship program for their students on sideways or on IT programs. And the government government is actually supporting that because they also pay, for such service that we provide for those students. And we could look at, making these institutionalizing this across all the institutions we have in the country. The government can look into that such that, I know in some countries you don't graduate or you don't actually become a graduate until, just like we have the National Youth Service Corps, it will also be institutionalized that even after graduation, you need to go through an entrepreneurship program, maybe for a year or two before eventually they expose you, to the market world or to the labor market, so that by that time the youth would have known where he has a focus, he must have gotten a dream and where he wants to expand into. Thank you.
That's beautiful. So I wanted to just ask, you mentioned something about Premier Seed giving opportunity to make people growers.
Yeah.
What's the name of the platform so that if someone that wants to apply can go online and search for it?
Yeah, you may not be able to get that online. What you need to do is you visit Premier Seed website and register your interest to work with Premier Seeds as an outgrower. In fact, we have two services that we render to youth. The first one I've just talked about was the outgrower scheme. We have another one that we call the Rural Sales Promoter Scheme. The Rural Sales Promoter Scheme is where we engage youth now, because we know that most of our products are sold by agro dealers that are normally located, in the urban cities, in the urban area, probably at worst, or probably at best the local government area in the state. But there are rural farmers that are located in the very, very rural area, rural communities, the wards that do not have access to improved seeds. So what we do is that we encourage youth now to become marketers, like commission agents that will take seeds from those guys in the towns, from the agro dealers, and take seeds to the rural communities to sell to those farmers in the rural communities. And by doing that, they earn some form of commission. And apart from that, we also provide them with some stipends on a monthly basis. That is also like an entrepreneurship program, for the youth. So you can visit Premier Seed website, register your interest, and we will take it up from there.
Thank you very much, Dr. Afolabi. I'm so grateful. Thank you to all the panelists for your insights, your perspective. I will let Aisha take over from here as we transition into the Q&A session.
Okay, thank you, Gabe. I would like to say a very big thank you to the panelists for such an insightful and impactful conversation, exposing us to different career opportunities in the seed and research industry. We'll move straight into the Q&A session. The first question is for Dr. Charles. So someone would like to know a few companies in Nigeria that are willing to work with youths interested in starting seed production. Dr. Charles, okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I think Dr. Sampson already mentioned, and so I think the person should just now. I think on the panel we have Premier Seed, and we have East West. East West is basically vegetable. They do more on vegetables. So I think it depends on what the person's interest is. But I think I would want the person should also take advantage of the window and opportunity that have been provided by Premier Seed, the distributorship program, and then the agro dealership program.
The next question goes to Dr. Hadiza. Do you believe that youth can contribute to the innovation and sustainability in seed production and research? If your answer is yes, how? How do you think they can contribute?
Okay, thank you for that question. My answer is yes. And how will the youth contribute to that? If you had listened to Dr. Sampson very well in his presentation, he said you have to identify your passion, you have to identify what you want to do. And when you have identified that, you have to back it up with a degree. Meaning, if you want to go into production, we're talking of breeders, right? We have already breeders in the country and people are still studying breeding. He mentioned there are different aspects or specialization in agriculture. So you need to identify that. So for such an individual who really wants to go into probably seed production and what have you, certainly will have to get himself involved academically by studying seed production, and of course, not just studying, but practicing at the end of the day. Thank you.
I wanted to ask a question to Dr. Hadiza. In East-West Seed, is there ways youth can, just like what Dr. Afolabi has mentioned in Premier Seed, there's a way they can help youth. In East-West Seed, is there any platform or any training going on or mentorship that youth can go into, or an exhibition? Yes.
Okay, thank you for that question. Yes, unfortunately, as I was about to wrap up, that was when the network kicked me out. We have a lot of trainings, we have a lot of programs, and the easiest way to get access to such information is when you follow our Facebook page, East West Seed Nigeria. We also have an Instagram page. We post a lot of activities or involvement that we farmers, or we have campaigns for agro dealers or what have you. Yes, we do. So if you follow our Facebook page very well, a lot of information are there for you to grab as a youth.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let me ask the questions in the Q&A box. Okay, someone is asking, how can we make agricultural courses more attractive in our schools today? Because agriculture is made optional in our schools. This question is to, I think, Dr. Afolabi.
Our youth need to be aware of the so many advantages, the so many opportunities that lie in the agri space in Nigeria, and not just in Nigeria, in the West African region. And again, as a matter of policy, probably the government also will have to look at the curriculum, where we need to also make agri as one of those subjects that are not just optional, but major subject that the students will have to study in school, especially those in the science sections. And again, like I earlier mentioned, maybe a year or two programs be put in place as a matter of policy for youth to go through that entrepreneurship program, exposing them to the different opportunities, businesses that they could do in agriculture before eventually they go for their youth service. I know even within the youth service camp, they of course go for CDS and all of those. That also, we can look at that as an opportunity to expose, the benefits of getting involved in different agricultural practices. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, sir, for that exposure. I would like to close this webinar by thanking the panelists for their insights, their perspective, and sharing knowledge, sharing wisdom, and giving us access to trainings, mentorship, where we can follow. And I just want to say a very big thank you. I'm sure the participants of this webinar are going back with a lot of insights and knowledge.